Hey Gemini, welcome to my channel. So guys, I already started doing your reading and it recorded 6 minutes and then it cut off because my children interrupted and somewhere along there it got tapped and yeah, so we're starting again. My background's a bit messy. So yeah, the last reading I have to do, I did a whole day of reading yesterday and I didn't have space to fit you in because I get really worn out after doing so many readings. So that's why your outfit is a little different to all the other recordings. So I'm going to start again. So firstly, this is my favorite time of year, right? We're in a collective energy. We're in that time of year where everybody is starting to reflect on the year we've had and starting to kind of think of the goals and desires that they wish to achieve this year. Thinking about what they need to let go of, reminiscing on what they have let go of and how far we've come and how far we've grown. So there's that collective energy that if we hop onto and use that to our kind of biggest asset kind of thing, using that to help with ours, sorry, readjusting, then we can really boost our own goals. And this year is going to be a way better year, right? 2022 was the worst year of my life, and I know many other people have said exactly the same. The energy was chaotic. But the universe, and I've said this in your reading, but I'm going to say it in the beginning, so this is all part of your reading anyway. As I say to anybody when I do a reading, anything that I say before, during, or after, it's all, I'm in that reading zone. This is your messages, right? And the universe has been really astrologically setting us up for freedom. We have Uranus in Taurus, it is retrograding. We have 3 planets retrograding in this moment alone. But I'll stay on Uranus for a little bit. I know other people say Uranus, but I'm English and I've always said Uranus. And it sounds funnier. Anyway, it's like our mother and it wants the best for us. The universe always wants what's in our best interest, right? So it gives us kind of what we're craving, what we're putting out in the universe, all that kind of jazz. But in this instance, all of the astrology is trying to lead us towards whatever is our freedom, our form of independence. And that's different for everybody. So what 2022 has done is being the parent, been that role model where it's like they've made the hard choices for us. So any of us that are like the kind of person who's very contented and like, unless it's disastrous, doesn't like to take the risks and make the changes, lets fears hold us back. This year has been like, it doesn't matter, you need to change this, it has to change. And it's really amplified prior to all of our previous patterns and cycles that we've undergone. It's like saying, you need to stop this cycle right now. So if you are still repeating these cycles, it's going to, our downs are going to be bigger, our highs are going to be still popping up, but you're going to, it's kind of like crashing. It's just like, it doesn't work, you need to stop it. Break those cycles. So it's kind of like this 2022 was the parent. I feel as though 2023, it's now saying, now off you go. It's like when a parent, you leave home and the parent has to say goodbye and allow you to make your own choices. And 2023 is that. It's going to be now time for you to start taking action and stop dimming your shine and become the person that you're meant to be. Have the life you're meant to have. Whatever way, shape or form that applies to you in your circles. It's all aligning for you to get your best self. And this year is about perspective. It's realizing that actually your perspective is everything, and perspective is reality. How you perceive your world is what your reality is. If you perceive that the bad things that happen to you is because you're prone to bad luck and everything bad happens to you, that's exactly it. That's what you're going to attract. That's what you're living. That's how you're perceiving it. If you perceive that the bad things have given you lessons and gave you good times, they gave you bad times too, but you learned something from that. You've grown as a person. That perspective puts you in a whole new place, and a place in reality where you are in control, you are in charge, because you are in control, whether you give up control or not. Like that quote that says, do not know who, where, when, how, what, why, but it says, you are, sorry, I've lost the trail of thought when I said who, what, why. The quote that says, making no choice at all is a choice. If you choose to sit back and allow the universe to flow, which at times we need to do that, to just be in the moment, but if that's what you choose, that's an option. You are still in control of your life. You are still running the show of For example, me, I'm still running the Lucy show. I'm just choosing to take a back seat in my own life and allow fears to shape my choices and allow myself to hold myself back, because it's me holding me back. It's nobody else. Even the situations that we find ourselves in when we feel stuck, we have choices to make and acceptances to accept, right? And that's that general consensus of this is the world and perspective that we are allowing for ourselves. So beginning your reading, we have Sacred Beetle Armor, you have a mighty shield. I feel as though because of the knockbacks of 2022, you're in this space where you are shielding yourself. I get this sense of skepticism with this. I remember saying when I did your reading originally, that there's a level of skepticism that just makes you feel as though unsure. I guess, and this is you putting your walls up and not real, and this is the fears that I'm telling you about. It can stop you and prevent you from making choices that you need to make. The key word with that, the card that came with this, is yes. Just say yes. You are being told to, no matter what, is to say yes, to take the necessary risks. And it's not a risk, really, but to us it may feel risky. Saying yes to something that we may have otherwise said no, or felt that we can't do that. Remember, the only person and only thing stopping you is you. You can achieve anything. That's something that my dad always said to me that stuck me when I was younger. You can do anything you put your mind to, and it's true. If you decide on something and choose that for yourself, great things can be achieved, and it's you that's activated that within you, and it just attracts so much more into your life. We have Alice in the Sea of Tears as your next one. Cast away, out of your depth, feeling abandoned. Mountain lights, light beings, portals, subtle energies. Now, this is it. When we go through hard times, we kind of get into this low vibe state of being, and it gives us this level of grief and loss. Now, when we let go of anything, and I'm definitely getting this time, being that many of us are letting go of old ways, letting go of what we thought we wanted, letting go of what we thought was good for us, of what we had, and it comes with a level of loss. Now, this can we can grieve everything. We're humans, we're sentimental beings. We can grieve the loss of our favorite sweater, having to say goodbye to somebody that we once loved. Even if they're toxic to us, we still grieve the loss of that presence, of maybe the friendship we once had, and that's okay. And we have to acknowledge that. We have to realize that I feel really sad about this. I've done this to myself so many times this year, where I've had to go I am sad. I do, I've grieved the loss of relationships that I'm in before, just even though I'm in it, and it's not necessarily relationships, but as in friendships and things like that. I grieve what's not there, and it's really silly. And so to myself, I can beat myself up, you shouldn't be thinking like that. You shouldn't be feeling like that. It's not healthy. But I had to come to this space, obviously, in my healing process of being but I feel that not regardless, whether it's something that I should or shouldn't be feeling, it's something I do feel, and I honor that. I am sensitive, I am vulnerable right now, and I'm feeling really damn sad about it. And I feel like this is a mindset that you need to get into a little bit with yourself, is to respect and understand and love yourself for the sensitive feelings that you're feeling. And I do get this sense of being a bit misunderstood. I did touch on this further down on your reading, but it's coming up here. Obviously now I know that this is in your reading, so I'm saying it now. Is I do feel like Gemini in general, you're often misunderstood anyway, because a Gemini, I just feel it is in your natural personality to kind of shift into whatever you need to feel about anything. So to other people, they don't understand. They'll just think that you're two-faced or anything like that. It's not that. In a toxic excess, as with any of us, anything in excess is toxic. So yes, if you're over clingy, over loving, and I'm going to touch on that down here because this is where it came up, but then in excess, that's a bad thing. But if you just, you're craving love and you're being really loving 1 minute, so that's what you need in your life in that moment. And then other times you may be much more of a free spirit, independent. And to some people who don't understand you, it's just they're just wishy-washy. However, it's just your natural way of being. It's a natural essence. And flowing with that and understanding that, I feel as though you may feel, grievance when people don't understand you. Now, this is normal. I can relate to that. I feel like, and I don't have Gemini in any of my chart that I know of, I don't think, or that I remember, so none of the big majors. But like, there's so many spiritual beings, people who are really opening up to who we are on a spirit level, who don't feel they have a place in the world. I feel like nobody understands me. And so many of us feel like that, and yet we feel alone in it. And I feel like the way that we overcome that on an awakening sense on this, when we go through that understanding of who we are, we realize that absolutely none of us are alike. Nobody understands things exactly the same. And once we understand that other people feel the same vulnerability as we do, it's this collective level of understanding being misunderstood. Being not understood. But it's okay to feel sad that you don't have that place yet. That doesn't mean that you won't ever get there. It just means that now, in this moment in time, it's driving you towards seeking something. Because anyone that's on a spiritual path is seeking. We are seekers. We're trying to find a place that feels home and natural. The answers that make us feel like we can connect with where we are in this stage of our lives, in the way that in the world is today. It's like trying to figure out it. And the reason why that is all really amplified in us, in humanity today, is because we're supposed to shift the level of consciousness into something that's much more healthier than past times. So with this card, with these settings here, it's trying to make you acknowledge the sensitive being that you are being, that you are, the empathetic soul that you are, and the compassion that you should have for yourself. And I feel like this is just, the turmoil that you need in your life to get you to where you need to be. The next card we have is Miss Spiderweb. Reconsider your alliances and make connections. This is paired with the initiation, rite of passage. You're going somewhere sacred. So you are heading towards your sacred ground. What is right for you? You're on the right path, and what's happening is happening again to all of us for the right reasons, for the reasons that are leading us to make better choices for ourselves, to stop settling for anything less. Now, this is a time for letting go all of the astrology. At the moment, we have Mercury in retrograde, we have Mars in retrograde, and we have Uranus in retrograde. They are all planets that are really urging you to drop things that no longer resonate with you now. So, with that in mind, this does come with discomfort, and it comes with that feeling of vulnerability. But this Miss Spiderweb, she acknowledges that in order to create something in the future, she has to let go of the old web that got knocked down in the breeze, and start rebuilding something that's stronger, that's more in alignment with with what she needs it for now. Because before, the old web would have brought her food, etc., etc., but the environment changed and knocked down that web. So now she needs to create something that's in alignment with her desires now, with the environment that she lives in, right? And so I feel as though this is something that you need to be coming into, of what is it that you need to let go of? Is it patterns of behavior? Is it people? Is it situations that no longer serve? And I feel like you already know this because, again, 2022 brought that into our awareness. But 2023 is about making sure that anything that we create that's new, is leading towards something that is going to make us feel in alignment and authentic with ourselves. And you are doing just that. But allow yourself to grieve the past. This really does stick with vulnerabilities and sensitivity during this time. Now, with the planets in alignment, where I was just about to touch on that, it's realizing that the first 2 weeks of January, while we have Mercury in retrograde, we really are urged to not take action. Mars in retrograde is also going to bring up communications of conflict and quick, rash actions and recklessness. The desire here is to not act on that, is to observe and kind of take inventory, so that then when we come into the final 2 weeks of January, we are able to start actioning. Remember as well that we have New Year and we have Lunar New Year. You have these two chances. So be kind to yourself through January, because it's a time of shape-shifting our world and coming up with the right choices then. Okay, Gemini, it seems that I have to piece your video together because I've had another interruption. The kids let the cat out. We have house cats and not outside cats. And one of the cats got out, and Autumn freaked out tremendously. It may be, the reaction may be in the end of the of this half as I put these together, but we will see. Anyways, moving on. We have Artemis of the Forest. Now you are independent and free. And, pardon me, the meditation. Peace, relief, and sanctuary. So I do feel as though you are definitely letting go of something. And this is the time for it. Again, this card represents independence. You need to be freed from something. Whether it is a way of being, like I said, it could be bad habits that you have really been made aware of the whole of 2022. And it's made you feel sad. Or it could be people that you really have been made aware that are not in alignment with you. Could be jobs, situations. Something needs to shift and change. The thing is, like, I feel like all of us are coming to this where we can, if we are, and again, perspective, if we really objectively look at it, we can see how that's led us towards something which is going to get us our freedom and independence where we want it. So I will use myself as an example. It was really weird. Again, I went through a divorce, or I'm going through a divorce, I guess. And it was weird because it just kind of happened. I am one of those people that kind of, I don't know, I stay longer than I should. Like, after, at the time I don't realize until after I look at it, and I just think, yeah, okay. But anyway, it was a really bad year for me, of how I was treated through things and many different things. And I know that all of that had to happen for me to be strong enough, fierce enough. I had to get into this mindset, like I had to be mistreated in order to make the hard choices for myself, because otherwise I'm continuously, even so, always made choices that protected him. Even if it didn't mean best interest of my kids fully, like I always do what's in the best interest of my kids, but I was still putting him there as a level of doing what's best for him, and it was stopping me from making the right choices that I needed to make for my children. And I think he had to treat me badly in order for me to realize that that person's not doing anything for me. I need to stop doing anything for that person. And it sucks, and I really do not appreciate many things that have happened to me over this past year. But I see how that's bringing me towards my independence and my freedom. And that's what I feel like for you, is acknowledging what you've been through, how that actually is putting you into an embodiment of choosing what's best for you, of being able to get independent in an area where you need that. I am a Taurus, and Uranus is retrograding in Taurus. So anyone who has Taurus in their chart, if you have a lot of Taurus in your chart, it is probably impacting you on a much larger scale, which means it does not matter. You freaking have to. We have to, it's so hard. Be leading you towards financial independence, secure, like all independence, everything, all around in all areas of your life. And if you are somebody who likes comfort, which is a typical Taurus thing, I do feel like Gemini does embody a lot of Taurus traits, being that, especially those on the cusp, because I know a lot of the only Geminis I've ever known have always been on the cusp, so they have embodied Taurus. I don't know if I know a full Gemini, so they embody similar traits to a Taurian, of being liking comfort and home and being loving in that same kind of way. So this could be kind of hard for you. So understand that. But I do think that it comes with relief, because I do think you, like myself, really weren't actually all around happy within the situations you have in your life. It was just the hard things that had to do with it. That's what you're overcoming. That's what you're grieving. Meditation. So again, downtime. If you do meditate, I feel like that could be really beneficial for you. It can be beneficial for all of us during this time. I feel as though it is a really great time to be connecting with the divine source. I actually can really sense that presence of any celestial being or anything that is earthly, that we do not see, the presence is very, very high and connectable. If this is something that kind of is feeling like is touching those little tingles of like, intriguing, it's time for you to start connecting with what resonates with you. And this is what I feel as though this is the path that's leading towards your spirituality, of your understanding of, again, who you are and what you desire in this time. Now, down here, this is where we touched on things up above. So I may be repeating myself, but it's necessary. So we have the Mermaid of Immersion, Complete Commitment, and we have Little Owlin, Wisdom as Light as a Feather. So I will show you Little Owlin because she's cute. So here, you are Little Owlin. You have gained so much. You have so much wisdom within you. So much level of understanding. It's there. I do feel like it's shrouded by fear. And it's shrouded by the armor that we have up here. The armor, which is the sacred beetle. This level of protection you build up for yourself. And I do feel like this comes with not feeling understood. And I feel like this is why you allow certain levels of toxic or negative influence, not necessarily toxic, but anything negative that we allow to stick around us festers into something toxic, right? So that's why I use that word. But I feel as though you're surrounded by such good things and so many, and it's things is what I was always urged to say with this card in this area. It's things, which can be feelings, can be situations, can be people, it can be objects. It's just something that we allow to be in our space because we don't want to let it go, or it's like it resonated with you at one time. And I totally understand that feeling of sentimentality and not want to let things go, but that stops us and keeps us in a space. Now, I've said this for nearly every sign, that we need to realize that even the strongest buildings never stay the same. Change is inevitable and change is good. Change is meant to happen. The world goes around. Things shift and change in a way that is better than it was before. So even the strongest buildings crack and move as the foundations and the earth shifts. So even when we renovate and change it, the building never looks the same as it once did. And also we never really want it to, because when we try and renovate something, we still want to give something a modern twist for the hard time. Make it cleaner. You know, we don't renovate things typically to still have that yellowy glow of time. We might paint the walls white again, you know, refresh it. And it's about bringing that new release of life into being. I feel this sense of like protection of that, like you want to keep some things the same. I just need, sorry. Bless me. And this comes with, I get this sense of you holding things close to you, as though you hold your shadows. So the misunderstandings, Gemini, I do think you're one of the most misunderstood signs, and I do feel like I'm probably, at times or another, being one that would say something along those lines, because it's just typical in astrology, those that are within it, that we might say like, oh, Gemini is it, like, I don't get on with their sign. I do get on with their signs. I have a little, you know, it's not that, but I don't understand the earth sign energy for the most part because I'm an earth sign. So I'm all about grounded and, you know, commitment and that kind of thing. Whereas air signs, it depends which way the air is flowing. And that is a freedom in itself. So when you're embracing your essence and not going against it, you're living a life that is much more free and happier. And I feel like this is what you're coming into, a level of understanding with that. However, this comes with scars. And this is what I feel you hold close to you is, it's something that no longer serves you now. But I think it's because maybe at one time or another, it has served you as either being comfortable, has given you comfort, or understood you. If it's people, they've understood you to a certain extent. However, these are things that no longer do or don't resonate with who you are now. But I feel like this is a sentimental attachment that needs to be like released and forgiven and let go of realizing that we don't owe anybody anything. And while someone may have been very understanding, very helpful in our lives, does not mean that they're just like they have to be there forever if they start being a negative influence in our life now, because they understood you then, but now they don't understand you now, or you don't understand them now. You know, what I'm saying is that nothing is meant to be one way forever. Nothing at all. Nothing. So be aware of that, of holding on to things that are negative influences for you. You're on a sacred journey. So introversion, seeker, self-knowledge. This again goes with the wisdom of little Olin. I feel like you know this, and it's a vulnerable feeling, but this is something you need to discover within yourself and realize that you are on your own journey. We all are. And with Uranus and Neptune, this can be a very big time where we feel alone in this, because we're meant to. We're meant to kind of get that drive. So, for example, this is me to a T. is I don't like asking for help because I feel as though the odd times if I felt like I need to, I have to, it's been like, in the end, I'll just do it myself because people, sometimes people don't help you in the way that you need the help, or it comes with like some kind of, like you owe them big time for it. So it's easier to help yourself and get you in that sense. Now, that is not a good thing to be, and I understand that, that you need community. However, so what I feel like the universe is doing in a subtle way is getting us into this point where, yes, we do need to help ourselves to a degree. It's not always about leaning on others. It's about realizing that you are very capable of shaping your life and crafting it into the way you're being. Now, this doesn't mean you do it alone, and it doesn't mean that we do isolate. However, I feel as though specifically for you during this time, it is about having that alone time to really truly understand the next steps that you need. And that's what the first 2 weeks of January are all about. It's taking that introversion time to kind of connect and recover from the Christmas period, recover from friggin' 2022, and chill and realize, what steps do I need to take next? And it is this really great reflective time. And another card that's in the same positioning, don't dim to fit in. How are you dimming your light to fit in? Now, before, when I did your reading the first time, I was starting to say, I'm really getting through this oh no, I guess I'm not, because this is 2 videos. Anyway, I was saying how I had a massive conversation with my dad, and it was about all sorts of racism, sexual orientation, things like that, just controversial things. I kind of love these kind of debates, but I'm very passionate about my opinion. I'm a Taurus. Anyway, so we were talking about this. And my dad is obviously in his 50s. He's of that generation that they were suppressed to a certain level. And it's like, so they're in our time, obviously, because they're still young, of being into the future that we are living in, the current state. But they're also in that past state with the previous generations where there's still that level of programming, upbringing, of respecting your elders and all that kind of way. Whereas we shouldn't be taught to respect our elders. We're respectful of everybody. We respect and be kind to one another. However, from life experience for me, people who have been the most disrespectful towards me or that I've witnessed have been older people. Elderly or the older generation, anyone 40 plus, obviously throughout my youth and bringing up into the current position. It's been older, so I have, that's not a mindset that I have. I respect those who are respectful, who respect me, but if you start being disrespectful, you've lost my trust and respect, so I won't even acknowledge you, to be honest. I'm kind of that person who is just like, I'm going to live in my life, you go over there and be negative, that's fine. But with that came this kind of communication where I was like, there's a car going really, really slow past my house for some reason, where I was like, sorry, I've lost my trail of thought now. Let me just get back to it. Yeah, so he was saying, you should act a certain way if you're in public because you need to be respectful. However, the way the conversation was, it was just but people should be able to just be who they are in any situation. There is not this level of we need to suppress and dim our shine to make somebody else comfortable. Now, that's a race conversation. That is a sexual orientation conversation. That is literally, you can apply that to so many things. We should stop suppressing who we are to make somebody else comfortable. And that's the world that we're trying to create. So with this, with what I'm getting at, is I said to him, I don't want to act the way the world is. I don't like the way the world is. I want to act in a way that it's the world that I want to create, the world I want to live in. I want everybody to feel comfortable in their own skin and to be able to express themselves in a way that is healthy, that is an asset to our community. Because anybody who is suppressing any part of themselves is already dimming lower. They are already not, bringing their full potential into this world and creating a life and a world that we deserve to all live in. And this is what I feel like with this. Where are you dimming? What are you suppressing in order to make other people comfortable? And as a Gemini, like I was saying, it's very much similar with Scorpios. People put this as soon as they know you're that kind of energy or they feel that yin-yang of a Gemini, of that having like 1 minute feeling like you need to be out in the world and be confident, and the next wanting to be home and snuggly on the couch. It's okay to have many sides to us. We all have that. We are cyclic beings. We are humans. We are not meant to just be drones and living and being and existing in oneself. Our personalities are so vast and varied that 1 minute, yes, you might want to be all social, and the next minute you want to stay at home. It's understanding ourselves, and it's being comfortable with our shadows. Our shadows are the things that we personally may see as weaknesses, or maybe we have been taught that that's a bad aspect of ourselves by people, and been programmed in a way to then kind of attach shame to that. And I feel like you need to realize that that is who you are to a degree, in the healthy way of expressing that. It is who you are. But again, we are all learning on what is a healthy way of expressing something or not. But when we suppress it, it's going to come out unhealthy. And that's where we then get that toxic, negative attachment that other people might brand us with. But again, own who you are, not what other people say you are. Mermaid in a koi pond, rediscovering your individuality and become the dragon. And this is exactly what I've just been saying this whole time. It's discovering who you are and putting that out in your life, in your universe. And this is in relationships too. I feel like you're only ever going to be completely happy if you are able to be you without having to I want to say kind of be superficial in order to make your partners comfortable. Because if anybody's doing that within a relationship, we're not actually happy within that relationship. And then really when it comes down to it, when we go through the hard stuff, because all relationships have ups and downs, because that's life. Life has ups and downs. The thing is, when we're in a relationship where it's from a mutual level of understanding, from a mutual level of love and connection, it's so easy to go through the highs and lows with each other because that love is there of who we are. When we have this kind of level of superficialness attached to our relationships, and this is also in friendships too, because friendships and relationships are the same. There's just, different dynamics. So when we go through the bad times with someone who doesn't know us, and we react in certain ways, because when we're vibing low, the darker sides of ourselves are going to come through sometimes. We're going to snap a little quicker. We're going to want to lay down in bed all day because we're feeling depressed, right? Somebody who understands you is going to go through that with you because they know you. They know that's who you are and that you need the time to yourself, or that you're a bit snappy. So they know to not take it to heart because they know that that's not you. It's your, the downside of the downsides, you feeling at your lowest, And so when you go through it with people who have a level of understanding, you both go through that together and you get through it. When you are not with someone authentically and being yourself, when you go through the hard stuff, it's going to be so much harder. And this happens as well with the good stuff. So normally you're with someone, when you start going through the highs, when you're with somebody who understands you and the way you're acting, this is amazing because you're having your highs with your person. But when you're with someone who doesn't understand you, they're like, whoa, why are you getting so excited? And all of a sudden they've dimmed that spark. They've put a negative connotation against you. And that may not be meant in a harsh, malicious way, but it is impacting that way because what we say matters. And I also, as I say that, I want you to be aware if that's what you do, because you don't understand your partner as well. So they don't resonate with you. And maybe you're just being with them, again, out of fears of that fear of independence. And so it's time for you to rediscover who you are. And I want you, because I'm drawn to say this, to be applying that within the relationships with people who you're with. Because your vibration is rising, you're the oracle. I feel like you are very much aware of the areas that are needing your focus, but this comes with reflection and thinking. So not taking action really quickly, making sure it's in alignment with you. This is not a time to be rushing into something. It's just a time for acknowledging and realizing, and putting things into the works to making it into your reality. We have the liminal dance is the keywords here. Delicacy, fragility, and transience. With the Frog Princess, heed wide counsel, listen. So this to me, as I've read this, I haven't read these cards. Each time I've done your reading so far, the first time, I didn't get this far past over here. So this is all new guidance here that I'm receiving. Heed, wide counsel, and listen goes with the whole point. I feel like there's things that you need to face. The shadow work here, this is all in the bottom column about shadow work, bringing things up that you need to acknowledge. I do feel like this is very much personal. Again, with the walls up, we are hiding certain things of ourselves that we need to face. This feels very, very personal. So listen to what people are saying to you. It could bring insights for you. And again, this is a time of reflection. I think you're getting insights into things. And I feel like this is a very, very important time for you when taking steps towards making a goal, because that's what we're doing here, is we're thinking, what do I want? And these are not ended goals. We're not having nothing has an end to it during this time. And there's going to be very unexpected good things for us all this year, because I feel like things are not just going to be one way. We're going to have like moments where we're like, oh my god, this is so cool, but you didn't expect it, you didn't plan for it, because that's the gifts that were being received this year. It's kind of like a look what happens when you start aligning with what you want. And this liminal dance is saying that. It's understanding your vulnerability and dancing with who you are. I do want you to understand yourself core deep. I do think shadow work is very, very much a good thing for this time of year, typically for the Lunar New Year, what we want to be doing before that happens. I don't know the exact date. It's 20-something, I think, of January. It's when the first full moon of January is, whenever that is. I'm not fully in my alignment with my moon phases at the moment. I know that we are due a full moon this coming week, but anyway, so when this Lunar Year, what you want to be doing is the shadow work, the letting go, the forgiving, the releasing, like you would in a full moon ritual. If you don't know really what that's about, comment below and I can give you a little bit of my version of what I do and understanding of what a full moon ritual is. It could be really cool. I feel like every human should do this naturally. It's a very sacred thing that many cultures do, but basically it's about letting go of all your baggage this year, so we have until the end of January, and then coming into a new year in order to, like, renewed. It's like being a phoenix. You're the only actual sign that does not have a phoenix in your reading with these cards. So I do feel as though this really does come with a lot of reflection with you, rather than renewing, rebirthing. It's just coming into this sense where you need to be observing and coming into a new embodiment within yourself internally and not externally. The phoenix to me feels very much turning your next page in a chapter. I feel like you are taking inventory, we have meditating, we have sacred feelings, energies. It's all internal and spiritual level. You are awakening, energetic upgrades, a new way of being, integration. 2 kittens you must choose. It has to be you. It has to be you that's driving your next course of action, your ways of healing is what I want to say. I feel as though this needs to be a conscious choice of yours. I do feel like you have options though, and this is why I feel like I don't want you to take action. And I do, again, 2 kittens. We have Gemini, we have the twins, right? I don't feel like you need to be just any one way. It's realizing who you are, that you are flexible, and to embody that, be flexible. Take up opportunities that come up to you, that appear to you. Say yes. Take that opportunity. Next level, carve ways, create opportunity. Don't just wait for it to happen as well. But if it does, if there are twists and bends in the road, I want you to be flexible where it's not a problem. It comes easy to you. So how can you get yourself into that state of being? It is a very personal journey. Now, going through an awakening, this is all, the whole thing is giving me that vibes all the way through, but going through an awakening is uncomfortable because it's making us face up to things that we don't like to sometimes, or it makes us more aware of things where perhaps before we didn't see it because it wasn't within our awareness. We were going through the more mundane ways of life. I don't understand mundane ways of life. It makes no sense to me. Why are we living in a world where magic doesn't exist when it does? Doesn't make sense. And this to me is where you come into that next level of understanding, that you realize that you start seeing the magic. And magic is mundane because magic exists. Magic is in each one of us, in the act of giving, of compassion, of understanding. It's in the act of nurturing animals, taking care of them, in what we eat, and being more conscious of that is just being more conscious of the world. This is really creating awareness of understanding. And this doesn't mean becoming vegan and all that kind of jazz. I am not vegan, and sometimes I am drawn to eat less meat. I trust in my instincts and what I'm drawn to. I eat chicken. I do eat meat, but I don't like meat anymore. I don't think I ever really did. I just ate it because I'm a very fussy eater. Finding things that I like is hard, but I realize it's because I don't like bland flavors. I am a super taster, so I need spice, I need heat, I need flavors, so I don't like bland flavoring, and I don't eat vegetables on their own. Like, I can't pick up a carrot and eat it. That has no taste to me. It makes me feel sick, and I feel physically sick if I do that. And this is why I'm saying, like, it's about your own personal level of what is your place in this world, and I want you to find that. But it comes with new ways of being, new feelings and discoveries, and it's exciting, it's fun, but it's scary, and it's emotional. And like, when I am doing my spiritual work, like, I have come from a very vulnerable place this year, and actually when I do my talks, like, I used to do lives where I would talk all spiritual stuff for a time, but then I had my 2-year-old, and I lost that connection myself because I go into mum mode and I'm full on nurturing a human being, and I'm coming back into that now that he's almost 3. So when I start talking about my own inner truth, or when I start talking about something so honest and real and raw, I start crying. Like, my eyes were up, and several times while I've been doing these readings, when I start touching on those real things for me, I start tearing up. And that's why I know I'm speaking truth, that I'm speaking honestly, and I'm being authentic, and that there's something there that I need to see, that I need to release. So hopefully that can help you to kind of see and understand yourself. Let yourself cry if you have to cry. If you don't feel comfortable in front of people, do it yourself. A lot of my work I do by myself. I don't actually have any friends. I have my mom and I have my children, and that is my circle. I do have one friend, but anyway, it's so tight. I don't have people to talk to, so a lot of my work is internal and stuff, and I feel like that has been what I have needed, to be isolated for such a long period of time, to really come into who I am. I'm now in this space where I need to, share that with the world. I need to start allowing myself to be a community and find my soul tribe. That is what I'm working towards, and I see it as a big picture thing for me, because of my circumstantial things, but I'm working towards that, and I am comfortable with myself that I know I need to do this, and I know I'll get there, but it brings sadness through times when I need that sadness. I need to feel that, because that's a drive, that's an acknowledgement, that's something to see. So I hope that helps you, Gemini. Thank you so much for being here. Happy New Year and many blessings. Please subscribe to my channel. It does help me greatly to build and continue to offer these readings for people. So yeah, I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next month, guys.